Okay, economic measures. Carl screwed up. Carl told you repeatedly that it takes the National Bureau of Economic Research an incredible amount of time to call a recession. We went back to the recession that began in December of 2007. The NDER did not call it a recession until December 2008. So I spoke, with a fair amount of certainty back in January and February that even if we were to go into recession this year, it wouldn't be called a recession before the election. Little did I know. They just had the fastest recession call ever. And on June 8th, we are now officially in a recession. Interestingly, the peak was in February before the COVID-19 close-up political arena over the coming months between now and November. So what's happened to consumer incomes and unemployment insurance for April, CARES Act payments, we've got the direct payments and checks, the unemployment standard, unemployment CARES Act expansion, proprietors small business income went down, and compensation went down, but in net, consumer incomes and everything were up in April versus March. Personal income increased nearly $2 trillion from March to April, mainly due to government payments. Inflation is way down. If you include fuel, which year over year up 0.1% year over year and down 0.2% versus the April. If you take out the fuel and food, we see that it was a modest 1.2% over the past year and down again 0.2% versus April. So inflation is tamed. It does not seem to be a big issue right now because a lot of consumers are on the sidelines. A lot of what we want to buy, unless we can get it on Amazon Prime or at a grocery store, we can't buy it. And most of us are not going out and going on vacation and taking lots of flights and going to restaurants and staying in hotels. If we look at the components of inflation over the last 12 months, obviously the big declines are in energy. Not so much electric services and natural gas, but basically gas at the pump, fuel oil, those kinds of things are big declines. Food has got an increase. S&P 500, what's going on with the stock market? Who knows? It has been very, what do we use I forget what the term the stock traders use for volatile. Very volatile this year. It reached a peak back in January. We had a long collapse, and it has gone up and down recently, but it has had a fair recovery versus the trough. It's still down versus the peak. It's still down versus the first of the year, at least as of a couple of days ago. But it's, we have recovered. Stocks have recovered a lot since the trough. Professor Robert Wright likes to talk about the fact that since the pandemic started in mid-March, all the billionaires have made lots of money. He ignores the fact that in the prior month and a half, the billionaires lost lots of money as the market went down. Because again, the billionaires own most of the stocks, and the market is down year to date. Somewhat misleading on the part of Professor Wright. Hey, stuff happens. He had a political point to make. That the market is down versus the peak. It's recovered a fair amount. I didn't check to see how it closed today. The other thing to remember when we talk about percentage gains and losses is that if you have a 50% loss, you don't recover if you then get a 50% gain. You need a 100% gain to offset a 50% loss. Because if stocks were at 100 and you have a 50% loss, stocks are now at 50. You need to add 50 back, and 50 is a percentage of the 50 they now are, is that 100% gain that you need to get in order to get a 50% loss. Why are Wall Street and Main Street disconnected? Part of it, of course, is that stocks tend to be 0.5. Stocks tend to be a forward indicator, so they crashed before the Main Street crashed, before we started losing jobs. Stocks were going down as they saw a risk associated with this new coronavirus, as well as everything else that was going on in the world. And their stocks anticipate that we are going to have a recovery at some point. And depending upon what they think is going on with the coronavirus, that seems to be why we're having wild, volatile swings day to day, week to week currently.